So some of us must have come across this notice because it has circulated endlessly, wanted by the EFCC. For many Nigerians, that kind of notice has become so familiar that we barely post anymore. And some people even might dismiss it as another round of political witch hunting because in Nigeria, wanted posters don't always translate to real consequences. Now, look at this image. This one that has a check being presented. At a first glance, you might think it's an award later. I would even think it's a contract signing or a kind of recognition. But no, welcome to Nigeria's version of closure. So this is recovered public money being returned, a recovery of looted funds wrapped in official courtesy. For me, that single frame is a mix of embarrassment, institutional process, and a quiet indictment, all summed in one picture. But before emotions run ahead of facts, let's slow down and unwrap this event. First and foremost, January 21st, 2026, the EFCC formally handed over recovered funds to the Enugu State government. About 1.28 billion naira was returned through bank drafts and checks. And how did this money come about? That takes us to the backstory. So, in July 2024, Enugu State government awarded Sujimoto a contract of roughly 11.4 billion naira to build 22 smart green schools with a timeline reportedly around 6 months. And after that, a huge mobilization payment of about 5.7 billion naira upfront was issued to accelerate delivery. But what followed after? We had news of near abandonment of sites, substandard work, and a gap between money paid and value delivered. Now let's pause here because when we say money wasted, Nigerians have become too used to it. This was school money. When you divert money meant for schools, you're not just stealing cash, you're stealing classrooms, future, and our safety. Because when you deprive children of learning today, you're robbing the society of capacity tomorrow. Now, the audacity of this kind of behavior is rarely powered by confidence alone. Because in Nigeria, audacity often comes from the belief that someone powerful has got your back. And yes, there's always that whisper that contractors are tied to politicians, but we cannot build story on speculation. Instead, we will face the front of the system, the names on the documents, the companies that collected the funds, the people who signed, the people who took the money. Because if you want to fight a bad practice, you don't start by fighting everybody. You start with what you can verify, and this case has something verifiable. So, in September 2025, EFCC declared Ogundele wanted over alleged diversion of funds and money laundering connected to the Enugu State Green Schools project. But then, we don't want to even imagine what kind of schools were tied to such funds. Either ways, so by January 2026, some part of this money had been recovered and formally returned to the state. Now let's talk like adults. Nigeria procurement system has hidden disease. Mobilization fees can become political oxygen. Sometimes, once that large upfront payment is released, the real pressure on delivering disappears because too many interests had already been settled, and so contractors are emboldened not to do the work. And that is why we see projects with big banners and groundbreaking ceremonies abandoned. Penalty must be more than returning some money. Now, let's say something clearly. Refund is not enough. If only consequences is return part of the money when you're caught, then corruption becomes a temporary loan. Real accountability requires penalties such as full restitutions, prosecute offender, and of course blacklist them from future public contracts. Although the EFCC has indicated that recovery effort continues and that the matter remains under investigation, more needs to be done. Public contracts are not opportunities, their obligations. And this is why I might say, well, the action taken by the Enugu State government is a step in the right direction. But the underlying question is, what kind of school is built with 11.4 billion naira? This is not a perfect story, but it reveals one truth. Nigeria can achieve results when the government chooses to use institutions properly. And now the final irony, the one that should shake every serious-minded person. If government can use its ministries and agencies to fight corruption and recover money from a contractor, why does the same system struggle to apply the same force when allegations involve government officials themselves? These tools exist, the law exists, the institutions exist. So the real question is not, can Nigeria fight corruption? The real question is, who is Nigeria willing to fight? It is a truth at a time. Take care and have a nice day.